Starship Hulk, Origin Explored. In 2021, Donny Cates presented the world with a storyline revolving around the Hulk that blew everyone's minds, and rightfully so. It kicked off after the events of El Paso, where Banner unknowingly affected the people in a bar with the Hulk's rage, causing a total of 17 deaths. The blame fell on him, causing his mind to break. Literally, the repercussion of his mind getting fractured forms the story of the Starship Hulk as we find out how it was possible for Banner to create what he has created. What we are saying may sound ambiguous right now, but as you get deeper and deeper into the video, eventually everything will fall into place. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel, because this is just a small click for you, but for us, it means a whole lot. So thank you, and let's begin. A slightly broken body with a highly fractured mind. This storyline is a massive ride. It takes the readers and the Hulk himself to unimaginable possibilities and places. The first issue kicks off with the Hulk punching a door in pure fury. Meanwhile, a narration from Doctor Strange presents us with a terrifying theory. Hulk has always been portrayed as the physical manifestation of Banner's rage, which likely stems from his childhood trauma. The Hulk is Banner's id. Time and time again, we have seen Banner struggle with the beast within and even try to keep him repressed in order to protect the world from the Hulk. But Doctor Strange believed it could have been the other way around. The Hulk was born to save the world from the scientist and the man that is Bruce Banner. And it is a theory that terrified the Sorcerer Supreme. We soon see who's on the opposite side of the door that Hulk is smashing. It is Bruce Banner. They seem to be in a huge facility where Bruce and Hulk are two separate beings. Betty Ross appears beside Bruce Banner. She disagrees with the way Banner is treating Hulk, who is just a child. She chides Banner for hurting the Hulk, and by extension, himself for keeping him locked in the room, all because of his regrets from the events that took place in El Paso. Banner lashes out at Betty as he screams, claiming that he does not blame himself for El Paso. Instead, he blames the Hulk. He never wanted to be a powerful superhero, he just wanted to be a scientist who discovered and invented things. He then turns to a lever and pushes the output to 20%. He knows that he is not immortal, unlike the Hulk, so with his time alive, he wants to see exactly how far he could push his own boundaries. Betty begins to freak out and asks him to stop, but Banner brushes her off, calling her just a fragment of his imagination. Soon, Betty disappears, proving that she actually was not a real person. He then sits on his chair in the middle of a large, empty room, making the readers wonder what in the world is going on. The scene shifts to the Avengers, who discuss the situation regarding Banner as Doctor Strange walks them through everything. He reveals that the events of El Paso have broken Banner's mind. He has now split his own consciousness into 3 parts. To even do something like this requires abnormal amounts of magic, and even the Sorcerer Supreme cannot pull off something like this. But Banner, a man with no magical powers at all, has. In short, Banner has turned the Hulk into a starship. One of the 3 fragments of his mind happens to be the exterior of the Hulk, which has been upgraded using tech that Banner stole from AIM. That tech has been surgically implanted into the body, upgrading the Hulk's physical stats. The second fragment is the Bruce Banner whom we see within his own psyche, and who is also the one in control of everything from his mind palace. The room in which he sits in his own psyche, which Doctor Strange had managed to peek into while in his astral form, but it was so well protected that he was soon shunned out. Meanwhile, the Hulk is engaged in a battle against Tony Stark and his Hulkbuster suit. The fight is evenly matched, but the Hulk seems to be the one who will emerge victorious. That is until Tony comes through with several Hulkbuster units that surround the Hulk. The units launch their nukes at the Hulk, which soon reveals itself to be nanotech made of adamantium. Tony neurologically controls the technology to latch onto the Hulk's body and create a cage to hold the beast in. With the Hulk in a position of disadvantage, Banner must now find a way to get out of this mess. This brings us to the 3rd fragment of his psyche. To make the Hulk's body stronger, the Hulk has to be angry. The Hulk we see in the very beginning of the comic who pounds at the door is the third fragment. He has been caged so that he remains angry, and Banner does this to use it as fuel for his external body. This room, which he calls the engine room, has an environment that can be controlled with the lever at Banner's disposal. Bruce pushes the throttle, which creates manifestations of opponents for the Hulk, the opponents getting worse and stronger with each stage. In this fight against Tony, Banner pushes the throttle to stage 1. Soon the caged Hulk is attacked by missiles, tanks, and practically an infinite army. Even he knows that Banner is doing this to use his anger and strength as juice. Needless to say, the Hulk is furious with him. The fight within his psyche gives the Hulk on the outside the power boost it needs. It cuts his own arm clean to evade Tony's adamantium cage and heads to decimate the Hulkbuster. He rips out the suit's arm, making Tony wonder how the Hulk was even aware of Tony not being inside that exact suit. But the Hulk does not care. He did not know Tony was not inside it, and he did not care if Tony died. He begins to destroy every Hulkbuster unit until the one with Tony in it pops up and pleads for him to stop, but he does not. The Hulk punches Tony's suit in the chest, making him fly into walls. He then heads to a room with the Iron Man celestial armor, or the Project Arc. Tony had created the suit after fighting the Celestials in the Null attack, and in place of the regular arc reactor, he had used celestial energy to create a wormhole that would give him access to pocket dimensions, mainly because he needed safe spots to send the people to in order to protect them during event-level attacks, and this wormhole was exactly what Banner was after. The Hulk heads towards the suit and even praises Tony for creating it. Tony tells him not to go into it because the math has not been perfected, so he has no idea where Banner will end up. Banner finds this to be a suitable option because he does not want anyone to know where he could be found. As he leaves, he broadcasts a message to everyone, stating that he is leaving because the people have no idea of what he is about to become. They are equipped with suits, rockets, and ideas to deal with the Hulk, especially when the Hulk is on their side. But right now, they are not dealing with the monster anymore. They are dealing with Banner, who is not controlled by his rage, but instead it fuels him. At that very instant, the panel shifts to the door with the third fragment of the Hulk, who fights the manifested opponents created by Banner's psyche to aid the exoskeleton of the monster in gaining strength. And the issue then comes to an end. The second issue opens with the Hulk maneuvering his way through the wormhole when he is stopped by the alternate universe timeline hazard operations response and interventions team. They cannot let him pass through the arterial dimension as this is a forbidden space for mortals. However, the name of the association is so long that by the time their leader finishes his sentence, the Hulk has already destroyed them, causing their blood and dismembered body parts to spill all over the place. Suddenly, an energy looking for Gamma signature gets a hold of the Hulk, causing critical damage to the exterior. Banner believes that it's the Avengers because who else would search for him in the wormhole and specifically track Gamma signature, right? It tries to pull the Hulk towards itself, prompting the device to let Banner know that at this stage, he is susceptible to switching to his own human body. To evade such a circumstance, Banner pushes the lever once more to power up the Hulk, and soon we are taken to stage 2 of the engine room. The Hulk in the room has destroyed the infinite armies, but now, in this new stage, he has to fight monsters. With the power boost, the Hulk fights back, but it is not enough. It needs more juice, and Banner takes it to stage 3, where the Hulk has to fight off giant-sized Wolverine. The engines are critical, and Betty Ross appears to Banner's conscience, once again asking him to stop. Naturally, Banner does not comply and tries to get more fuel from the Hulk's rage, but even though he manages to fight well against the gigantic Wolverine, the Force pulls him in, destroying his whole system. Soon, Banner finds himself back on Earth in front of a scientist who has been controlling the energy and looking for him, or someone like him. He is amazed to see a monster of his kind have the capability to reason and speak. These words anger Banner even more. The scientist seems glad for being able to capture him at last, making Banner curious about who he is. Just then, the man introduces himself as Dr. Bruce Banner, and the second issue comes to an end. The third issue kicks off with Banner standing in El Paso with his bloodied human body. Everything around him seems to be on fire, and there are dead bodies everywhere when a dark black form closes in on him and smashes his head into a pulp. Turns out, it's just a vision that is the result of a sedative given to Banner by Banner. To make matters simpler, let's refer to the main Banner as Bruce and the new Banner as Dr. Banner, so we're not confused. Bruce angrily asks the doctor for his details, who is shocked by an abomination such as having such agency. Hearing the words sends Bruce into a rage, prompting him to attack the doctor. Soon the doctor learns that he is Bruce Banner as well, and they decide to exchange notes on the situation. Meanwhile, the Hulk within the psyche tells Bruce that he cannot cage him forever. Bruce tells Dr. Banner about how the gamma radiation in the accident turned him into the Hulk. Turns out, Dr. Banner is not a Hulk. Instead, he is something a lot worse. His gamma experiments turned out to be a success, allowing him to create the G-Bomb. He intended to power the world with the technology and change the face of the earth forever with his inventions, all without anticipating the dark side of it. The G-bombs were used all over the world to cause destruction, making the United States the undisputed superpower of the world. This made Dr. Banner something like death personified. What made matters worse was the fact that the gamma radiation from the blast created Hulks like Bruce, except they were a lot more deformed and had no agency. With no knowledge of what to do with them, Dr. Banner had been sending them into the portal to dispose of them, but he intended to find a way to cure them. This is exactly why he was searching for gamma signatures within the portal, and due to Bruce's gamma spike, he was able to come to Dr. Banner's world. Once again, Bruce is furious to learn that Dr. Banner has been treating Hulks like they are garbage, tossing them into the portal. But the doctor defends himself by saying that he was made to do it, even forced to create the portal by someone else, his superior and father-in-law, Thunderbolt Ross, who in this world is the President of the United States. In the fourth issue, we learn that this world is Earth 122. President Ross has been looking for Dr. Banner, who is now in hiding, but now his underlings have located the doctor and sent their forces to eliminate him. At the same time, Bruce asks Dr. Banner about the ones who are heroes on Earth, hoping that someone can help in this situation, but those heroes do not exist. Following Banner's success, Stark Industries went out of business and Tony drank himself to death. The X-Men never got to exist as the mutant school was nuked with a gamma bomb. Heroes such as Captain America were unheard of. Soon, President Ross's forces locate the Banners, prompting Bruce to take the lead. He jumps into the foray, but his body is unable to take the attacks from the forces. And so, Bruce does what he always does for more power: push the lever. So far, we have seen the Hulk from the cage go against a giant Wolverine in Stage 3, but sustaining critical damages causes Bruce to amp it up to Stage 4, where the Hulk has to fight Marvel zombies, an army with the heroes from the Avengers who have turned into zombies. With this new power, the Hulk fights back with his might, and the forces are shocked by the sheer levels of his power. Every attack bounces off his body or gets absorbed, causing Dr. Banner to realize that he has obviously released a monster into the wild. Soon, President Ross calls the Doctor and threatens him to stop the madness of his creation. But Dr. Banner tries to explain how he did not create the Hulk and the fact that he does not control him. Ross doesn't buy it and he threatens to shoot his star pupil. Dr. Banner reaches out to Bruce, asking him to stop, but Bruce does not comply. Ross shoots the boy, making him fall from a cliff, and Dr. Banner reveals to Bruce that the boy is his protege, Peter, who was bit by a radioactive spider. Soon, Bruce asks Dr. Banner about the type of radiation present in the spider, and we get to learn that it was gamma radiation, as in front of Bruce stands a gigantic Hulk version of Spider-Man. The 5th issue opens with Dr. Banner being caught by Ross and his men. He is beaten to a pulp, even though he insists that neither did he create the Hulk, nor did he control him. He laments the fact that in every world, Bruce Banner becomes the personification of death. Wherever he goes, he brings widespread disaster and destroys the world. Ross asks Dr. Banner the method to kill the Hulk, but Banner only laughs in response. There is no way something like that can be killed, but he only gets more punches in return. Meanwhile, the Hulk is overwhelmed by Spider-Hulk, causing Bruce to take things to stage 5. Once again, Betty tries to stop him, and she keeps calling the Hulk a child. It is evident that this Hulk is the childhood version of Bruce who is dealing with the trauma of his abuse at the hands of his family. His conscience tries to stop Bruce, but Bruce takes it to stage 5 anyway. In this stage, the Hulk must fight gods, such as Thor. As the Hulk gets stronger, he is able to take down Spider-Hulk, causing it to turn into Peter Parker. At Dr. Banner's, Ross asks his subordinates to leave him alone with Banner while his forces unleash more nukes on the Hulk. These nukes almost destroy the whole of the Hulk, causing Betty to sneer at Bruce, who is now in severe distress. She tosses him deep into the psyche and takes control of the system. On the other hand, Ross learns of Dr. Banner's wanting to help the people by preventing and curing the Hulk's abominations, but Ross finally shows his true colors. He finds the abominations to be quite handy. In fact, the government had been taking control of the stronger ones and using them in wars, while the malformed and weak ones were reported to Banner and subsequently disposed of. Dr. Banner realizes how sick Ross is. He also learns that all of the wars were not won with gamma bombs, but with Hulks. Back inside Bruce's mind, he has lost control, and Betty pushes the lever to stage 6, Demons. On the battlefield, the nukes turn out to be the very Hulks Ross has been claiming to use in battle. The government has complete control over them, and even in the 6th stage, the Hulk is not strong enough for all of them. We see Betty again, pushing the lever further up to the 9th stage, causing the Hulk's eyes to shoot laser beams. The 6th issue opens with Betty Ross contradicting and even mocking Doctor Strange's theory. She thinks all the talk about the Hulk being Bruce's id and the embodiment of a scared little boy is nonsense. Instead, she believes that the 10th stage of the engine room is hypothetical because we already get to see the worst of the worst in stage 9. Within his cage, the Hulk has to fight the combined forces of the Kree, the Inhumans, and the other universal constants such as Adam Warlock, the Phoenix Force, and Galactus. For some weird reason, Galactus now appears as a Hulk, bringing Betty to her main point. There are so many different types of Hulks, red, blue, gray, and even Spider-Hulk. It is almost like everyone, Bruce, Jennifer, Ross, Amadeus, and probably even God gets to have a Hulk nowadays. So why can't the Hulk have a Hulk? As she says this, we see the repercussions of the engine room battle unfold on the real battlefield. The Hulk, who is just shooting laser beams out of his eyes, gets 1,000 times more menacing as he transforms into a beast beyond imagination. Taller and bigger than ever before, with a hide that is practically impenetrable. The Hulk transforms into a monstrous titan. It radiates red gamma energy and destroys all the Hulks around it with ease, while the ego of Bruce Banner, i.e. the man who is initially in control, falls off into the depths of his subconscious. Back in the engine room, Hulk is unable to fight against the 9th stage opponents. Thanos has him in a chokehold and he calls out to Bruce to stop the madness. He cannot deal with it any longer. President Ross gets reports of the Hulk turning into a Titan and decides to nuke it with gamma bombs. Dr. Banner overhears him and wants to stop him because dropping such a bomb will destroy a minimum of 3 cities. But Ross just doesn't care. He points his gun at the doctor to subdue him. But before he can call for the launch, Dr. Banner attacks him and manages to shoot him with the gun in Ross's possession. Within Bruce's psyche, a war rages on. The system cannot go on any longer, and Bruce's ego finds his way back to the control room, asking Betty to stop. But she is convinced that no matter how angry Bruce gets, he cannot stop her. This prompts Bruce to finally unlock the engine room and let out the Hulk, who has a showdown with Betty. Meanwhile, the Titan Hulk goes ballistic and triggers an explosion, destroying his opponents and his Titan form in the process. Bruce finally finds himself, but he now has to deal with the boy he had caged. He prepares for the worst to happen to him, but the Hulk tugs at our heartstrings when he is proven to be more sad than angry, especially when he apologizes to Bruce instead of attacking to him, especially when Bruce was the one at fault. Meanwhile, Dr. Banner kind of failed in his mission because even though Ross was now dead, he had already sent out the orders for the bombs to be dropped, and Banner does not know what he can do to stop it. He contacts Bruce and tells him about the threat while Bruce reprograms the Hulk's exterior, who has deteriorated from Titan's form after the explosion. Dr. Banner asks Bruce to intercept the bomb with his Hulk and take it to the portal because it could siphon off the gamma signature, and the Hulk does exactly that, knowing that he will soon be taken to some other unknown territory, while Dr. Banner pleads with him to find his way and use his gift. He does not want Bruce to become the embodiment of death as he did. Instead, he wants Bruce to use the powers of the Hulk to help people. Within the portal, the Hulk travels, only for something else to close in on him. He tries to learn what or who it is, and the answer comes to him soon enough, as soon as we see Mjolnir flying towards him, bringing the 6th issue to a close. The 7th issue reveals the entry of Iron Man and Thor in the fight. Tony has used the energy of the Celestials to create Hulkbuster that can suck the gamma radiation out of the Hulk, but he is soon knocked down, not just by an angry Hulk, but by Thor. Well, Thor did not intend to do it. His hammer reacted by itself. Thor was now the All-Father following the death of Odin, but Odin's spirit resided within Mjolnir. Thor also believes that they are left with no option but to kill the Hulk. Meanwhile, the Hulk believes he is back in the engine room and Iron Man and Thor are simulations. He gets ready to fight them to the death, oblivious to them being real. A dangerous battle ensues, and ultimately, the spirit of Odin comes out of Mjolnir. It pins the Hulk down with the worthy hammer and gets sucked in within Bruce Banner's psyche, because that is exactly what he wanted to do. Thor reaches out to stop this from happening, but the action triggers a massive explosion after the Hulk glows green. A huge mushroom cloud goes up, and when Tony Stark awakens, he realizes that he is the only one there. He survived the explosion because his suit is designed to counter gamma. He talks to his suit, who informs him that the explosion was like 3,000 gamma bombs going off at once, which means that any human will easily be disintegrated to the atomic level. But Thor isn't a human, he is a god, and being exposed to the radiation has turned him into a Hulk. The 8th issue opens with Utau, that is the Watcher, narrating the events. He always witnesses the greatest events unfold and is aware that everyone wants to know who would win in a battle to the death, Thor or the Hulk. Thor and the Hulk fight one of the most terrifying battles of all time, while Odin sides with Bruce after entering his psyche. Thor has broken the Bifrost, and the Hulk is super occupied right now, so he cannot follow Odin's command of fighting a way to Asgard to turn Thor back to normal. Meanwhile, we learn that Thor never truly unleashed his full might on the Hulk in their previous battles. Being a noble god of mercy, he has been holding back for centuries. As a result, he has too much pent-up rage and currently does not possess the rationality of mind to control himself. It is proved when we see that the Hulk is no match for Thor in this fight, but Odin buys the Hulk a chance as they are taken near the Yggdrasil tree, which can cure Thor. They also have the Asgardians siding with them. Bruce manages to pin Thor to the tree, which chains the god with its barks. Thor does not stop, not until Odin himself reaches out to profess the love he has for his son. Where might fails, words come in handy, and Thor finally finds control once again, but at the cost of an explosion that destroys everything. The magic within Mjolnir restored the world tree and Thor himself, for he is a god, but he reports to Stark that Bruce Banner is dead even when he is not. While Banner goes off into another uncharted world, Thor returns to his place with the Asgardians, claiming that he now understands the pain and rage he lives behind. and the issue comes to an end. The 9th issue starts with a more relaxed scene. Unlike the previous issues, which revealed carnage after carnage, Bruce is revealed to be in therapy sessions with a doctor, but it all takes place in his psyche. He has a deal that he needs to do 2 hours of therapy to heal the wounded child inside of him, which exists as a result of his parental abuse. Not doing so will lock him out of the Starship Hulk. After the session is over, he goes back to the control room where he is not alone anymore. There are many others sharing the massive workload with him, but all of these people are other fragments of Bruce Banner's mind. Doing this has allowed him to maximize his output as they had locked into a gamma signal from the distant planet. But the planet has no atmosphere or topography, despite having life. It rains sediment every night and has been shifted from the course of its orbit, proving that the life forms over there are tough. Bruce also finds centers of commerce and leisure within the planet, which tells us that it is not a hopeless land of despair, since the place also has casinos and a pool that can be seen from space. He also asks other fragment what it means for a planet drenched in gamma to have an advanced technological and social life. We see the other banner, which is modeled after the banner from Earth 122. The Starship reaches the planet soon, but is attacked by monstrous life forms. It fights back when it sees the tall tower being guarded by a Hulk. He is suspicious about what is going on when a figure appears. She calls herself the Monolith and is the ruler of this planet, the Hulk planet. As the issue comes to an end, she welcomes the Hulk home. The 10th issue is not out yet, but it is evident that this kicks off the Hulk planet arc. We will get to see many other Hulk-like characters on the planet while Banner adjusts to this life. But of course, considering the ballistic nature of this story, it is far from likely to be a homely planet Banner will find leisure in. Right now, we are in a state of calm, but soon, I'm sure there will be a storm. The entire concept with the engine room Hulk is entertaining and sad at the same time. The storyline has been super dynamic and extremely enjoyable so far, and it keeps us wondering what is going to happen next. Considering how well things have gone, it is only going to get more and more intense in the Hulk planet arc. And if you liked our content, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. And in the meantime, have a good one and be safe. Thank you, everyone.